I'm gonna color today the cute little stem called Beary Christmas. So I have two different ways. Like I first colored it with with blending the bear. So I blended all the color. And I have my cat Chewy that really wanted to meet everybody, so that's why he's singing in the background. Anyway, and the second way is more a furry way, so I just like with flicks all over his body. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the little cat. And actually I went on, I don't know if you people know Amy Young. She's really good, and I love the way she colored the cat, so I went on her site and used the same colors that she does. I'm just gonna zoom by a little bit more. Okay, that should be better. Because for some reason all the cats I color are always black, so I decided that a little tabby, orange tabby cat would be so cute. So I'll start with him. I'm gonna try not to go past the hour. The thing is, it is a very large image, so I'll do my best. So what I'll do first is I'll put a layer of E41 on the kitty, because he's gonna have his tummy and the end of his paws like kind of a whitish color. So I'm gonna put just an all over color. And this is not his tail. At first I thought it was, but it's here. So just a little bit of color here on his face too. And it's just to cover him a bit. I'm used to doing it like I do my darks first. It's the way I do it, so it doesn't matter how you do it. Like every way is good as long as you get the result that you want. So I'll go with the YR27. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just do little flicks where it would be darkest, so at the base here of his ears, and I'll do it like kind of around his face, because his face, like, it shows that it's round, the darkness of it a bit. So put little flicks there. I'm gonna put little flicks at the beginning of his paw, down his chest, but just a little bit, going down his arm too, or paw, his front left paw here. And like I said, I'm not going to the bottom because I want it to stay very light color. I'm sorry, I think I'm gonna put that a bit sideways so you can actually see what I'm doing. So now I'm doing it on his hind leg also. So a little fur here, and gonna go down his tail. The tail is very narrow, so it's gonna be hard to do flicks. So I'm just gonna like try to do what I best can. So after that, I'm gonna go with YR14. Okay, we have a visitor, so that's Chewy. Chewy is really friendly and he likes the camera. So with YR14, I'm just gonna extend the flicks a little bit more. So on his ear and on his face, like just so it's coming a little bit more towards the inside of his face. Try not to go too much over his feature so you can still see it. It's not a dark color, so it doesn't matter so much, but and again, just extending the color a little bit more. A little bit on the tail. And my last color for that is YR21. So again, just putting a little bit more color here. Once again, inside towards his face. So he looks a little bit furry, but you can still see his little smile. So you have the base. I'll just gonna add a little bit of the darker color, wire 27, because he's just missing some detail, I feel. I'm gonna put a little bit darker below his chin because it would be darker. And I just noticed I forgot a tiny little bit of his tummy right here at the bottom. So to do the shabby, look like the tabby, like the stripe, with E99. Hi Kim, thanks for sharing. So what I'll do is I'll just do little like zigzag kind of line. So usually on the side of the face, like starting larger and then going like, I'm doing almost like, I'm gonna do it bigger here like this, and it's a triangle that goes smaller. So I'm doing that on the side of his face, like I say, just here, right here, on the other side a little bit from the top, and then I'm gonna go do the same thing on his paw. This paw and his chest gonna be a little bit more like straight for his line. And let's do a couple on his tail. So it's not like in your face stripy, but usually cats aren't. It's just like a faint detail, like you probably saw when Chewy actually decided that he would join the party. So that's the little cat all done. What I'm gonna do after, I'll do the little bird. So with the little bird, he's gonna be yellow, so I start like, it's gonna be Y38, 35, 32, but to make a yellow or orange darker, it's easier to use a brown because the yellow is never usually dark enough. So this time I picked E39. I could have picked any brown, it doesn't really matter, but that's the one I picked. So E39. So what I'm gonna do is to give him some shape, I'm gonna put him around him, the little bird. I won't put it at the top because I figured that the light, that's where it hits it first. And I'm gonna go behind his little wings and each like kind of a feather under. And I'm doing the same thing on the other one, like this wing is behind, so a little bit of brown there. And after that, I take my darkest yellow, which is Y38. So it's gonna be a little bit harder to blend, so just work at it with little like flicks, because it's such a different shade and tone, but it adds to it. So just extending basically the color a little bit. Like that. Then that's wire 35, sorry about that. And then wire 32 for the eye light color. So I colored over his beak by mistake, but it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna go back with a darker color on it anyway. So I'll use the E39 again, just on the side of, just a touch, and I'll use its wire 14 to make his little beak orange. And I'm gonna do his little like paws there. I know they're not paws, but I'm not sure what they're called for birds. So that's a little bird. I didn't put much emphasis on it. He's very little. He's not the star of the show. The star is the bear, or in my craft room the star is my cat Chewy. So now what we'll do is we're gonna go to the little girl. So I'll start with her jeans, and I really like the B90s to do jeans. They're just a really nice color and they really blend beautifully. So I'm starting with the B99 with my darker color once again. As you can see here, like there's a line here, and obviously that's her second leg that's there that we can't really see that much. So I put like a dark line here, then like under her shirt behind the bear, that's going to be darker. I tried to leave the knee usually lighter because it's going to be where it's stretched, where the light goes like there first. So the bottom of her pants below here. And what I like to do also is, like, obviously because it's rounded, our jeans are rounded, so it goes around, but because we have such a dark line here, if I do the same on both sides of this leg, it's all going to be like dark, so we won't see the difference. So what I do is I leave a little sliver of light, so it shows darkness without like mixing it with both. So the other color is B97. So now I'm blending that line just a little bit further, and I'm not touching the other side where there's the white line yet. I'll use it, like I'll just put my lightest color there, but I will go on this side of the pant. Then B95, sorry. So again, extend the color, and you can see I don't have to work at it very much, and it just really blends nicely. And once again, like I said, I'm gonna try to leave the knee the lightest color. And then I get that, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Geta. So with my B93, yeah, Kim's, I like that combo too. Like, honestly, it's not the first one I got, but it should. Like, I recommend people, if they don't know, like if they start in Copic, totally go for that blue. And then my lightest is actually B91. So now I'm gonna do the end of it, and I'm filling up, like you can see her knee. And at this point, I'll put the color there, so you can still see that she has two legs, and it's still darker, but like that you can still see it. Hi Carrie, how's it going, girls? So I could go back, but I think the blend is not too bad, and I don't want to stretch my time also, like, either too much. So that's good for her jeans. I'll do her shoes. Another, like, I'm gonna do them in brown. Thanks, Kim. The bird, like, I'm not a bird person at all, so he's yellow, but I think that there's so much going on in that image that he fit that way. So for the brown, like, one I really like is the E70s. So they also blend very, very well, and to me they remind me almost of velvet. So I think it's a beautiful rich color. So I'll just do her shoes, and once again, like everywhere where there would be a shadow, so behind, like that boot is overshadowed by the other, not boot but shoe, is overshadowed by the other one, by her shirt, her pants, and this one, like the bottom, would probably be also darker. So darker here. I'll try to leave the top lightest of both, but it's still gonna be a shadow on the second shoe, right? So this one has little lines, so let's use it with that. So we'll leave it at that for now. Then the second color is E74. So again, just extended and blending. Obviously in the shoe in the back we won't get like much color because it is darker, so it's supposed to be that way. And you can do the same thing also, like extend it, like, because it would be darker there, but we want to see the difference between the other shoe, so leave a little bit of space, then extend it. I hope you see well, like enough. I'm not hiding too much with my hand. Then E71. See, it just blends like so nice. And we'll finish with E70. It almost has almost that like pinkish look, but not quite. Like that's why this one is called Ash Rose, right? Way chewy. So, yeah, since we moved not that long ago, like we've been in the house about 10 days, the house is still a bit of a mess. My craft room is a mess, and the cats are like a little bit on shaky ground, so they're really needy. So Chewy, every time he thinks I'm talking to somebody, he wants to share also his opinion. So so what we're gonna do now is our little shirt. I picked, like when I did it both ways. The first time what I did is I used the R20s. It's another red that blends really nicely. And this one I use also R's, but the 80s. It's beautiful red. And because the ink of the month is Pink Pizzazz, I figured that I'll do and I'll go and give her a pink shirt, because it would just fit with that wonderful color. I think it might be Kim's favorite, right? So there's one thing. Sometimes some colors are so dark that it's really hard to blend. I noticed, like with this set, or the reds I was just showing you, is that I use the second darkest color first, and then I go back with the darkest. Otherwise I can't blend them, or I have a really hard time. So my my darkest color, my second, yeah, I do like the paw print. And we have Chewy coming again. Okay, sorry. So, and if I close the door, what's going to happen is that I'm going to have a cat coral on the other side. So we're just going to have to bear with him a little bit. Sorry. And, okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So obviously behind the bear, it's going to be darker. Behind that first arm. Okay, it's surprising. He's just going in front of me and moving the camera. Sébastien, tu peux-tu pogner Chewy? I'll just ask my husband, okay, to pick the cat, because he's really distracting. And usually I would never put my caps there, and they're dirty, so I'm dirtying my my paper. And also it's going to be darker, obviously, like all along, like behind the bear and his scarf and paw and so on and so forth, right? You can see it. I'll leave the bottom line there white, just for a little bit of, yeah, Chewy wants to color, no kidding. And underarm here. And like I said, like I can put like lines, but that are not exactly on the line, so we'll see it. And I'll put like at the bottom that it's darker. Also, it's further from the light, and at the back. I won't do it at all the way, because her shoulder will get some light. So I'll leave it like that. Now, like I say, I'll go with my darkest, which is R89. So I'll go just over it. And once again, all the way across. Like I'm basically going over, but I noticed, for me anyway, it does blend better if I lay out another color. And I don't have to go over all of it, but the darkest place I will anyway, that's for sure. So like that. Then I go back again with my R85 and go a little bit. I extend it a little bit. So, and to me it does seem like it goes a little bit easier. I don't know if you guys do like that technique. Just like write me a comment if you want. It's like that. And I didn't do this part, I didn't forget about it, but I don't like doing huge spots of color at the time, because I think it's easier to blend when they're juicy, for lack of a better term. So that's, oh sorry, that's our 83. Forgot about it. And it's also a lot easier to blend if your markers are like, not have just been refilled, but like they're not dry, because then you're just fighting against your markers. So the lightest is R81. So now I'm gonna fill the little lines I left there and the rest of it. The shoulder's gonna have more light here, like I said. A little spot of lightness. So I'm just gonna go back a bit, because I think it should be a tiny bit darker here and maybe a little bit more. So you can always go back to a certain extent. At some point the paper is gonna tell you to just go somewhere else, because it just doesn't want to take it anymore. Right now, like talking about paper, I'm working on Nina 80. Sometimes I work with a Copic Express it. To me, like I can work with both of them. Like I usually not too bad with like paper and stuff like that. So oh yeah, almost forgot our little piece of our arm right here. So obviously shadow under our scarf. I'll put a bit behind, below and over, and like I did the other time, put the darkest R89, and I go back with my R85. I extend. I'm gonna try to leave like more room for the highlight, because I figured the sun is coming from this way. R83. And I'll finish with R81. Once again. So here's our little shirt completed, and I'll show you, it's one of my tricks. Like I went out of the line here. I know it might not be a lot, but sometimes I can be OCD a bit. So I use my my zero, my blender, basically. And what I do, it's gonna be a bit noisy, but I go under where I want to erase the color till it's wet, and then right away I use my heat gun and I draw it in the direction I want the color to go. If you just let it that way, it's gonna bleed like it did right now. So you can do that a few times, and most of the time I can like remove the biggest mistake, like a blob of red or something. At the retreat, actually one of the girls that was sitting beside me, it happened, and like she was going to throw her image away, and we saved it. So, and it works all the time, and you're gonna see it behind, but sometimes you have to do it a lot. Actually on Copic Express it does, usually I don't have to do it so often. Like I really should have left it alone, but like that I'm showing you my little technique also at the same time. So, but remember that if you dry it right away, it won't bleed like all over the place. So I'll leave it like that. Anyway, there's going to be a, like the bear is going to be covered. So what we're going to do after that, we'll do, it's one color I didn't really put down. It's just to put slightly a little bit of, like the white is never white, so I'll put a little bit of, it's C3 for her sock, and the stripe at the bottom of her shirt, and I extend it with C0. So just so it's not completely dark, and I'll leave it completely white, so I'll leave it like that. So for skin, it's a normal combo that I use all the time. It's E04, E11, E21, E00, E00, and E000. And I think I said E00 twice. Sorry about that. So I always like crack my markers first. I like them to be always open so it's easier. So the same thing applies like what I did with the R89. I put like the second darkest color first. I do the same with the skin. Sometimes also, if I'm not sure of the image, like this one, her nose, like if you notice in this one, with her nose, like I put a little like a line on each side, so you have, hi Sheila, you put a little bit of detail so her nose actually stands out and it looks a little bit more real. I also like have an habit of extending the eyes, so I make them a little bit bigger. One thing, make sure that if you make their eyes bigger, do it way before or after, because if you pass your markers over it, like the wet black liner, you're gonna actually ruin the tip of your marker. So right now I'm just making shadow marks, so it doesn't matter because it's my second lightest color. So I'm just extended. I figure this side's gonna be darker because it's kind of hidden behind, and this one's gonna be lighter. That's why I don't extend the line all the way. She's probably gonna have like a little like shadow on top of her nose, like for the little like bump, and below her nose, a little bit below her mouth. All you see, like right now I'm just marking everything that would be darker. Obviously all across like her hair, under her chin here, under here. So I think that looks fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my E04. That seems so very, very dark. But I'm lucky, like this marker has really like a fine tip, so it's a little bit easier. So just going around, and sometimes it's just easier to go both ways. So I'm reaching basically her eyebrow to her nose. And this one I won't do, like I said, I won't do the whole thing. I'm just starting it just like that. So I'll do like under her hair would be darker, and it's easier to blend if you have like a little bit of a darker line, like not darker but larger line. So under her chin here and there, and inside of her ear, under her little mouth, and that tiny little thing over her nose. I'm just putting a little dot for now. So now I'm gonna blend that line with E11. So you want to make sure you don't leave that dark line. It's gonna look funny a bit. But you still want to have it there though. So inside her here, the bottom of her lobe would be a little bit darker. Under chin here. And now I'm gonna extend that line all the way. And because on this side of her face is gonna be darker. After that, I'm gonna use its E21. So extend a little bit again. So around, extending a little bit, but you want to make sure you still have room for the other colors, right? There's still 2 other colors to go. So that was E21. There's E00. So extend once again. And I'm sure like people like do it differently and stuff, like everybody has their own way. So, and I have like kind of this spot, it's the eyelet, so that's going to be my lightest color. So her cheek is and her nose is the lightest because it's what's sticking out from your face, right? Her little ear, the top of her ear. And I think here the color like is a little bit, I think there's a huge difference, so I'll just like go back to my second lightest, E00. You go, like I said earlier, and you do like what feels good to you. Like if you think it's too dark, well, usually it's easier to stop when it's too dark. It's easier to be too light and then add than the other way, obviously. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give her a little bit of with R20, I'm gonna give her a little bit of blush, so her highlight here, and there's gonna be some on the other side, it's just we won't see it as much. And what I do is I use my lightest E000 and I use it like a brush, like a makeup brush, to like kind of blend it so it doesn't make that huge splash. And again, I think her nose is like kind of like too light. So I'm adding that C21. I'm going back with E00. And now the E000. I think that's a bit better. So for the ends, they're very little, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip a color. I won't do E21. So the lightest is E04. So where her hand meet the shirt, between the fingers, but on the side of the finger that's hidden by the other one, the joint here under her thumb. Here it would be just like the fingers under, obviously. So that's my E21. I'm going to go with E11. So just extending a bit. It's very small area, so sometimes it's easier to blend when there's less color. Oh, have a good supper, Kim. What are you having? So I'll skip E21, like I said. Go to E00, E00. Extending her little finger. And finishing with 000, E000. And okay, so we'll go with that. I had an early supper. I was like actually nervous about doing the live because like nothing is really ready at home. It's a little bit of a mess. So okay, so well, I'll do now, actually I'll show you what I do when I extend the eyes. First of all, try to make like the eyes the same size. It does look better. It happens to me, that's why I'm mentioning it. I'm using, it's Copic multi-liner, can be any kind. It's 0.03. The only thing is this one works with Copic, but if you do it at the end like I do, it doesn't really matter. So she has tiny little eyes, so I'm making her bigger eyes. And it's like with making her, like giving her bigger eyes. Oh cool, Sheila, you got your order? Hey, hi Melanie. Bonjour, like you would say it, or bonjour. So just got her eyes a little bit bigger here. And then I can add a little bit of shade, like a highlight. So it gives her a little bit of liveliness. Not sure if it's a word. And it's nice to put like more than one dot. You put a little one and a bigger one. I should have waited till the black was actually dry. It would have been like a nicer white, but we'll work on it later. So I'll do her hair now. Sometime like the artist like draws all the lines, and sometime like you have kind of to guess. So I'm gonna start with E57 for my hair. It's gonna be like a ashy blonde, dirty blonde, I would say. So like it looks like she has a part in her hair here. So I'm just gonna extend it a little bit. And as you can see, my E57, the tip is really not that fine, but we'll work with it. So from the start here, we'll do strike, but you don't want them to be the same length because it just looks too like natural or unnatural, I would say. And I'll go at the bottom too. I'll try not to make you sick and turn it around, but usually I try to like have it flick from top to bottom. People are different, so do what feels best for you. And also there would be like shadow behind the flowers, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start pulling some line from there also, like from the bottom and from the top. Oops, and I forgot her ear here, so I'll go back to it later. I'm gonna have to like kind of flip it here. Sorry for if I'm moving all over the place. And let's go the other way. So like I say, you can come back. So after that I'll go E43. I'm not sure if Kim is still there. I hope she's making spaghetti. Maybe I can go after. Only it's gonna take me, I don't know how many hours to get there. So I'm just like extending the lines up and down. And doing this again. The result won't be as pretty as when like Melanie does it, but oh, is that what you're eating, Melanie? Spaghetti? Cool. Okay, so right now it's another color. This one is a little bit warmer. So it's E53. It's not that it's that much lighter, but it adds a lot of warmth. So it's a really nice combo. Actually, I'm pretty sure there's like a few people that know Alice from Kid and Clouder. You might even take her classes. I take her classes. And that's one of her ash blonde combo. And it does like, gives that little humph there. So you see like it just brightens it up. So I'll leave some like white in there. Melanie, you're the queen. Watercolor and Copic. When I started 10 years ago, I actually remember some of the tips you were giving then. I was so in awe, and I'm still in awe of like your talent. And right now I color a lot faster than I usually do. Usually I'm like much slower. So for the flower, the center, since it's so small, I'll just do it was 35 of the bird. Whoops, and I'm on the wrong side this time. So just fill the center. And for the flower, I'll do the same color as her shirt, as I'm gonna do the same thing for the Christmas ball also. I kind of forgot about that. So just like extend little lines where there's actually little lines there. So, and once again, because it's such a small area, I won't use all the colors. So R83, just extending a little bit. And because I put some hair in their flower, I'll use the R83 so I can actually kind of hide it. Sometimes you can do that, hide stuff. I know we've been at it for a long time, Melanie. Okay, and my markers were all in the wrong spot, so I'll try that again. That's the R85. I was lying earlier, sorry. And R83. So the little flower is done. It's very small, like I told you. For the bubble, the Christmas ball ornament, once again, like I'll leave, like I want a little sliver of light there. Around the ball, it's going to be darker. So I'll do a line around it, and then once again just blending. So that's R85. Gonna go with R83. And R81. And what I'm gonna do, that's my white liner. I'll make that very white, and also I put a little round, it's like a second highlight kind of deal. Once again, you should really wait till everything is dry to put your highlights. And I kept my markers while I'm waiting till it dries a little bit. Okay, let's try that again. There you go. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, is a scarf, and after that it's gonna be bear time. So I use G20s for greens. Once again, another one that works beautifully. The G20, which is the lightest, you have to work a little bit more at it. So that's G29, my darkest. And the artist already put some line, so I'll like kind of extend them. And you know what, there's going to be a shadow behind the other part of the scarf, so I'll do that. And then under his nose here, but his face is actually under the scarf, so the scarf is more in front of it. So I'll leave those lines for now. Then I go to G28, which is like almost the same color. You can actually skip it if you don't have it, like. Then the G24. So let's blend and extend the color. You can see the difference here. This one you have to work a little bit at it, but not too bad. And like I say, you can always go back. Like the second time, it's a lot easier to blend. This time, like obviously I don't want to take too much time. My husband actually has to wake up tomorrow at 4, so that was G24. That's G21. So extending again. And G20, that's a little bit harder to blend because it's so much lighter. You can use tip-to-tip blending. So what it means is that you actually take color from your other color, basically directly, and then you bridge the gaps a little bit. Or you can just work at it. Both works. It's that way. It does make it a little bit easier to do the tip-to-tip. So that's that part of the scarf. So, and don't worry, it doesn't arm your tips doing the tip-to-tip technique. So for the bottom of the scarf, what I'm going to do, there's like, here you can see like there's a line, so I'll extend it. And it would be darker where it's coming out from under. And here would be darker, certainly to the back would be darker. And I'm putting like a little like V, extended V shape, like upside down V shape here to kind of like reach the other line. So I'm going, it's G28 now. So let's put it a bit higher. You want to curve it so eventually, like, if it doesn't reach, at least it looks like it might reach, like join, I mean. Now I'm gonna go G24. Sorry about my arms in the way there. And if there's anybody like actually doing it at the same time, like don't be afraid or like think you're not fast enough. Like I told you, I usually go so much quicker, so much slower than that. I'm just like trying to finish that by 8, and I'm really not sure I'm gonna achieve that. Because I also want to show you, like for the stencil part, what I did with the paw prints. See how I have to work at it a little bit more. Now G21, extend it once again. And sometimes, like when you see a picture, you might see it differently than me and color differently. That could happen, and I'm certainly not perfect, so sometimes the way I color might be wrong. Okay, finished with the G20. Let's do that tip-to-tip trick. So I'll actually go back a little bit just because I'm not so happy with the blend. So sometimes putting a little bit of color will help. That will do. Okay, so that was the scarf all done. Now we have the pièce de résistance. Let's do the bear. So I have two different things. Right now I have to find all my colors. Okay, so I'll do is belly, paws, and inside of ear first, once again. So if I have fur going over it, it doesn't matter because it's already done. So that's E95. If you don't have that color, you can use like orangey that's really light. So at the bottom here is paws here. Under is the scarf would be darker also. His little belly, obviously, all around, like because he has his arm in front. His chest hair is kind of hiding it. is here, like the cat is in front of it, of his paw. So we'll start with that. Then I have, it's R30. Oops, here. So extend the color a bit. It seems like a strange combo because it's all like it's color that usually don't go together, but they actually blend really well. That's why I picked them. So, and that E95 is really like almost a pinkish color, very light pinkish orangish color. Bye, Melanie. Have a good night too. This little ear, let's not forget about it. And finish with R000. So it's really, 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 really light here. And little belly. It's here. And his other paw. Okay. It's not perfect, but I know I'm gonna put hair on some of those parts, so it's okay. And what I did is, like, when I finished my furry bear the first time, I wasn't really happy with that like twirl here. It's like he has a huge colic or something. So when I went, I went actually on Google, and I Googled some bear, and then I was looking at real bear and all their fur was going, and then I put it on this like page, and I kind of like drew, like made a little like sketch to know where to put my fur for when I would do the color along. So I'll just put it aside and follow that. So what I do is I start with E50 because I don't want the bear, like the fur won't be everywhere like the hair of the girl, but I don't want him to be white under. So what I'm gonna do is actually I put a coat of E50 on like everywhere on the bear. So like that, and see, like I went over here, but it's okay because there's going to be fur. Let's not go too close to that pink because that could leach really easily. So there's a little shoulder here, can't forget about it. Here. A good trick is, if you're not sure that you touch a color, just look at your marker so you don't put it somewhere else. Oops, I didn't see I had red there. So, but once again, the fur is gonna hide it, so it's okay. His paw. That's actually his other paw that's behind. Like that, and around his bottom paw. Also, obviously, don't forget his face. And try not to touch too much of that green. Marker is okay. And I forgot the little branch in the bird's mouth, but I'll go at it after. It's the same thing. I forgot the little ribbon that's coming out of the Christmas ornament. So, like I say, a quick layer of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the darkest. It's E35. What I want to do is like give him a muzzle. So I'm going to put, there's a little line there, but I'm going to extend it, and I want it to be just under his eyes. So extending a line, and then I'm going to put the shadow, because like obviously his head is under the scarf, so everywhere would be darker. So that's what I'm doing right now. So like that. You would have a line here, like where his ear kind of like touch it, like reaches the head. Under the scarf also would be darker, so it's behind. This part would be really dark. between the fingers, under obviously the little fingers here. Underbelly would be darker too. We already did it with the E95, but I'll just like give it a little bit, a smidge touch more here. Her front paws are the one that are her head, but just there is hand, for lack of a better word. So I'm just putting the two little lines there. His back paw here has a shadow under obviously the scarf both times and behind the front leg. This paw is behind the other paw and has the lines also for his wrist, which not really a wrist, but I don't know what to call it with a bear. Okay, having chicken, potatoes, and peas. Awesome. Did you already eat, Kim? So here a little bit, and that would be shadow. And behind the little kitty also. And then the Christmas ball. Okay, so that's all the shadow. Now, let's fur. Let's put some fur to that little buddy. So, like I said, I'm gonna follow what I did on the little diagram. So the hair is gonna come out of his ear, like obviously following the roundness of it. And I'm gonna put, like, make some that's coming from the outside, but with the same angle. And I hope that people who are allergic to cat, you have your pills, because I swear Chewy is really on fire today. So for here, it's gonna start really like, and I'll make his eyes like stand out also, so even if I go over his eyes, it's not too bad. And like I was saying, like I'm looking at my like the little sketch I did. So I want all it to go like this, basically. And I'm trying just like to extend those lines because I don't want a big like white spot in the middle. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock. I'm officially late. So a little bit of fur on his shoulder, the fur here. So much easier when it's a small like space. So down his paws. And try to make them go like if you had a big line that they would like work together. A little bit there. I'm actually going to put some on his belly because while I was doing my research, I noticed that there's actually no bear that has pink belly. That's just for stuffed bear and stuff like that. So I felt pretty silly when I saw that. So, like I said, I'm trying to do a different length. But I'm doing like bigger length than I would because it is, like I say, a fairly large image. Let's do some on top, and there's some here. It's gonna get lost a lot, but we can't forget it. Still do the little like fur. So that was the first color. Then I'm gonna go with E31. So I'm gonna extend those lines, and I can also do some in between. You just don't want a perfect coverage. That's why we put the E50. And the color is so light that it doesn't matter if your lines are like thicker or not perfect to your taste, because it does hide a lot because of the tone of the color. see how it's starting to take shape? And his face. And then, like with her hair, I'm using E53 for some golden tone. Actually, I'm gonna add a little bit more there. So again, and you see right away, it just makes such a nice color, I think. And I know his eyes seems to have disappeared, but he'll have some eyes, don't worry about it. Oops, I kind of forgot the E31 here. Happens. And once again, I forgot here. So you can see, like, you can still see the little pink belly because I had to, but it's a little bit better with the fur on top of it. Look somewhat more realistic for a bear, like cuddling with a cat and a human anyway, right? So he looks very furry right now. So I just don't like his ears so much. So I'll because it just looks like tiny little like flicks and they don't look good to me. Oh well. He has very furry hair here right now. So for his nose, I'll use W. It's warm grays. First of all, I'll just put E95, whoops, sorry, in his mouth just to put a little bit of color. And his nose on top would be lighter, so I'll leave. So that's W9. That's W7. And I use warm grays just because, like, he's a bear, he wouldn't have like a real like gray color. So that's his little nose. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna make, like, give him bigger eyes, but he's still like, I'm keeping them slanted because it's like he's looking at the cat, right? So you see, he has eyes now. And I'm gonna give the little cat a little bit bigger eyes. Obviously I can't give him like huge eyes, so little, right? And I like on the nose. In the eyes, like the one dot like I told you, and a little one up in the corner, and tiny dots in the cat. I don't put two because it's too small. I'll just add a little bit of green to that ribbon. So that's E28 and G28, and that's G21. Like, there's not enough room to do like the full 5 color. And oh yeah, I should maybe do the branch too while I'm at it. So just a little bit of, again, G29, I think this time. It doesn't really matter, like you could pick any green. And that's the G21. I just have like my desk is a huge mess. I'm just trying to find the color for the little cat. Just extend this little, like this little fur. And we're gonna put a little green ribbon around his tail. So I don't like my character to float. So what I'm gonna do, if I can find my markers, is just use W's again on the ground, like to ground them. Don't want to be funny, but that's pretty much what it is. Okay, I put them there. So I start with W3, and I'm not very good at making straight lines. So what I'm gonna do is just put a really faint line with my pencil, so I actually know where I'm going, and I use the darkest, so W3, and just like extend that line like that, and then I go under them, but I go like, I have a very, like, I hold the marker very loosely, and then I go under them, so it's like a shadow ground at the same time. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I never took art class. Actually, my worst matter when I was like at school was art. So I'm not perfect for like shadows or anything like that. So I'm following with W1, so basically just extending a bit and blending it. If it's not perfect, it's okay too, because it's like shadow, like play of light and stuff like that. And I'm gonna finish with W00. Okay, so that's the ground. And the sky, instead of like just drawing a sky or something like that, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna zoom out a bit if I don't screw it up. Whoops, sorry. Okay, I'm trying to zoom out, but I'm just pressing on the comments. I'm sorry. Okay, I think I managed to do something. So what I'm gonna do is I'm using the pop prints, and I'm just putting it over. And what I'm gonna do is I'm using that little brush that Penny sold at the retreat. She kept like telling everybody how marvelous it was, and it is. So I had to buy a set. So I'm starting with the pretty in pink, because it's obviously a lightest color. I'm gonna do the edge with the pink pizzazz. But the thing is, if I use pink pizzazz first, what's gonna happen is that the brush gonna have that color, so it's gonna start really dark. And I always try like start at the side of my paper, because I don't want it to be very dark. So start there. I don't go at the bottom, I'm just filling really the top, and I'm trying not to go like obviously where I colored. I could mask, but because it's such a light color, it's not that bad. I'm still going to be very careful of that little birdie there. So now, like, that wasn't very bright. Usually I just use my Make Art Station with the magnet, but now I have to do with my hand just sticking there. So now that's pink pizzazz. You can see how much darker it is, right? So I start actually outside of it, outside of the paper, so I can blend, like, so it's more of a subtle blend. I see there's a couple of other people that joined. I'm not sure who they were. Just see like the number going up or down, something. And that's what it does. So that's the completed project. I hope you liked it. That's what it does. So it doesn't make it like when you do the stencil for the background like that, it's so much quicker than trying to actually like do it with Copics. It does look beautiful too, but hey, Kim like sells those beautiful stencil. And like funny story, I never used stencil before I joined the crew, and now I can't stop using it. I'll bid you all a good night, and thank you for watching. Bye.